Welcome to Trainz! Hello there, friends, and welcome to Trainz Reviews. My name is Kevin, and today we're going to take a look at a couple of On30 locomotives. Ready? Have you never heard of On30 before? Well, as a quick explanation, it is O scale, or 1 to 48, but it runs on HO gauge track, and that approximates 2 foot 6 inch narrow gauge, or 30 inch between the rails, versus standard gauge, which is 4 feet 8.5 inches. If you have an interest in On30, then odds are good that you know that Bachmann is the leader in providing affordable, ready-to-run On30 locomotives. We've got two here, so let's take a look. So the first locomotive we're going to unbox is this Bachmann 29304, which is a 260 steam locomotive and tender. It is undecorated. It comes equipped with DCC, although it can run on direct current, just your standard, conventional DC. And the Trainz SKU is 5933917. Price at time of filming is $218.99. All right, we've graded this TCA grade 8, or like new, and taking a look at it, I would agree. So just a quick run over, it is a Mogul, a 260 wheel arrangement. So 2 leading wheels, 6 driving wheels, 0 wheels supporting the firebox. It's one of your earlier railroad designs. This particular one has a nice little cow catcher up front, as well as a functional knuckle coupler. We've got this nice elevated light, some lanterns on either side, a very tall stacked chimney. This looks to be our sand dome because we have some piping cast in the boiler running down from it. We have our bell, which is cast in place, our turbo generator, and then our steam dome, safety valve, and whistle. Right? Then we move on to the cab, which is pretty darn full with motor and everything else. So I don't think you're going to be able to put people in there unless you get a little creative with how much of the person you put in there. And we have this nice long tender with a cast in place coal load. Could be a little bit more detailed, but for the price, it's not bad. And of course, we finish up with another knuckle coupler. All right, so now we're going to unbox our second locomotive, and I'm going to show you some interesting comparisons, okay? All right, so here's our second locomotive. Now this is the Bachmann 29404. It's also an On30, of course. It's an undecorated 060 steam locomotive. Like this fella here, it is equipped with DCC. It will run on DC conventional. And again, like our Mogul here, it's ready for sound, but it does not come with sound. Now the Trainz SKU is 5933908, and price at time of filming is $230.29. And unlike this guy here, which we graded a C8, this one will be a C7. So let's take a look. All right, so now here is our 060. Unlike the Mogul, we have no leading wheels, we have 6 driving wheels, and no trailing wheels supporting the firebox. So all of the weight is on our driving wheels. When you see that in a steam locomotive, that usually means low speed, high tractive effort, and the ability to go around really tight corners. All of the locomotive's weight is on its driving wheel, so the adhesive factor goes up. Now, that's true for real steam locomotives. I'm sure at a certain level it's true for our model locomotives too. A lot of the same details on the boiler, but with just a few tweaks, they make it look so different. So we still have our tall stack, and we have our sand dome, we have our bell, we have our turbo generator, our steam dome, we have our safety valve and our whistle. We have a different pilot on the front. Instead of a cow catcher that projects outwards, we have more of a freight pilot with the footsteps. So when you're doing switching in the yard, you can easily step up and get on and off the locomotive. On the back, Still the same cab style, still the same lack of space in the cab. But then we have a completely different tender. It's much shorter. The coal load is much larger. And we have this nice light on the back. And just these few little changes can give us a completely different looking locomotive. In my mind, this is a more modern engine than the 260. And while the 260 you might see doing like over-the-road freight and possible occasionally pinch hitting for passenger traffic, this one is a yard goat, right? But let's put the two together, and I'm going to show you some cool differences in how they made two locomotives out of the same parts. Okay, so here's our close-up comparison, our head-to-head. Some of the obvious things we can see right away. The colors applied to the smoke box and the chimney. We've got nice bright silver here. We've got a dark gray graphite over here. We have a different headlamp. This one is much more elaborate. It has these big brackets with holes drilled into them. It has these two brass lanterns behind it. It's much higher and forward placed. Whereas this guy, it's a much more self-contained unit. There's no fancy brackets. There's no projecting out over the smoke box door. And instead of having these brass colored lanterns, we have black lanterns on either side. Again, some other minor details. Instead of having this nice brass handrail that goes all the way around, we've got just black colored rails that only go up to the lanterns on either side, right? It doesn't come around the front like it does on this guy. And again, even the bell on the 260, the lever arm of the bell is much taller, whereas on our 060, it's much shorter, less ornate, less big hoopla, if that makes sense. So just these few differences on, as far as like paint and details added to the boiler. The boiler itself and the cab, they're identical, tall stack, sand dome, steam dome, turbo generator, those are all the same. Even on the sides here, we have our, I'm saying that is some type of compressor. Is it for an air brake? Is it for water injection for the boiler? I'm sorry, I don't know right now. You can tell me in the comments. Very few changes, but a very different locomotive courtesy of it. And visually, trying to balance it out, the length of the tender makes a big difference in between, this big, long locomotive for, highballing it with passengers or fast freight versus this short, stumpy tender for just puttering around, switching out freight cars. Taking a look at the mechanism underneath, our drive wheel spacing is identical. The driver height is identical because it's the same mechanism. The only differences as far as the locomotive portion is concerned is the presence of this leading truck. We have a screw here and the tongue to hold the two leading wheels. We have a place for a screw on this guy here, but I don't think there's enough space between the cylinders and the pilot to be able to fit that leading wheel like we have on our Mogul. So very small differences, mechanically speaking, but such a difference in the locomotive itself. So here we have our two locomotives, fraternal twins, brothers. I'll let you decide on their exact relation. They're both solid runners. As we mentioned, they're both DCC equipped. They are sound ready. They're nice. If I had to choose between the two, it'd be really tough because this guy reminds me a lot of the LGB 260 Mogul that I used to fantasize over when I was a little kid. Whereas the yard goat, I love the little locomotives that do a disproportionate amount of work. Well, that's all for today. So please like and subscribe if you'd be so kind. And until next time, keep your rails clean.
Trainz.com, making dreams come true, one train at a time.